Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host, David Tare, where I've been featuring my personal top 3,000 songs of the rock era from 1954 to 1999. And today I'm up to song number 2613, and that one is For the Love of Money by the OJs. This came out, I think the single was released in 1973, but it peaked on the charts at number 9 in 1974, the following year. And it was also released on their 1973 album called Ship Ahoy. And here's a picture of the group, the OJs. I think I'm first going to talk about the song before I talk about the OJs. So I think you guys are probably all familiar with this song, For the Love of Money. I mean, it was, for one thing, it was used as a theme song for a very popular reality TV show called The Apprentice. I'm going to go to that. Yeah, here's, I guess an advertisement for the show. I watched a full season of The Apprentice in 2006. I'm a little bit ashamed to admit it. But I actually liked Donald Trump on this show when I watched it. And I'm sure a lot of other Americans did too. A lot of other people, I'm sure, really liked him. And, I think it was probably staged. I think it was a fake show. I don't think that, the contestants, it was probably planned who was going to get fired when and who was going to finally become the apprentice at the end of each season. I didn't think so. I've always been very trusting, very too gullible, I guess. And I liked him on this show. I actually thought he was a pretty good businessman because I thought he was always firing the right people at the right time. And I'm sure that's how he hooked a lot of other. Unsuspecting people as well. Now I know what a pathological liar this guy is, and I'm pretty sure he was a liar back then when he was doing the show too. Hope I don't get in too much trouble for saying all this because I realize, probably some of you on this channel probably voted for him. And that's fine. I think you were wrong to vote for him. I don't think it means you're a bad person. I think you were just misguided, probably, maybe by the social media. But this guy is ruining the country, and I think he's a menace. And I think the sooner he gets out of power, the better. That's just what I think. And I guess I just want to say one more thing about The Apprentice. They made a movie about it. I haven't seen this movie yet, but I do want to see this movie. I think it should be really interesting to watch. And I don't know, what their point of view is about Trump in this movie. Maybe what I just said. I mean, a lot of people I've talked to insist that this show was staged, and it'll be interesting to see if that's the point of view they present in this movie. But anyway, and even if it wasn't, I mean, even if it was an honest show where he was honestly, firing the people who did the bad job every show. That doesn't prove that he's a good politician. That only proves he was a good businessman. I mean, yeah, he was a billionaire. He knew how to make a lot of money. I mean, we can't deny that. He made over $1 billion from his business, and his business is right where I live. I mean, there's a Trump Tower just about 4 miles from where I live. I can't stand looking at it anymore. But anyway, enough of that. Enough of good old Trump. Let me just talk about this song. For the love of money. And another thing that's interesting about this song is that you kind of have to listen between the lines a little bit. I mean, I think the song kind of like "Born in the USA" by Bruce Springsteen. Most people think that's a really patriotic song praising America. It's not. "Born in the USA" is a protest song. He's singing about how traumatized he became because of what he did fighting in Vietnam. It's not a patriotic song at all. I don't know how it got that reputation. Similarly, this song "For the Love of Money" it's kind of an anti-capitalist song. If you listen to the words, I mean, they're talking about how people do really good things and really bad things with money, and how influential it is on our life. I guess for better or for worse, mostly for worse. It talks about how a woman will sell her precious body for money, and a lot of women are doing that these days. I think there's a lot of college girls who are turning tricks just to pay for their education. Pretty horrible, if you ask me. I mean, I still think prostitution should be legal, but that's kind of a different issue. But I mean, it's not a positive song about the benefits of the dollar bill. It's not if you listen to it, you know. There's even a line where they say money's the root of all evil, or people say it is, you know. So I don't think it's a very positive song about the benefits of money. I really don't think so. And I'm not a capitalist, and I hope someday we don't have money anymore. I think it could happen. They do predict this on Star Trek, probably not in our lifetime, but I think the sooner we end our dependence on money, the better off we'll be as a species. Anyway, enough preaching. Uh, I guess now I want to talk about the group, the OJs. So here's a picture of them. They got started very early, by the way. They started in 1958. They were first known as they had a couple names. First, they were known as the Mascots, and then later the Triumphs. And I think shortly after that, they became the OJs. But these guys are still performing. Almost 70 years they've been performing. I think this picture shows them in the 70s, kind of the peak of their career. And I guess I would describe their music. I guess there's a lot of different genres you could use to describe their music. R&B, soul, Philadelphia soul, or funk. But whatever you call it, I think it's a pretty damn good music they came up with. And I'm just gonna go through their hits now. Oh, and by the way, they were formed in Canton, Ohio. Anyway, enough about them. So I'm just going to go through their hits. Their first hit was in 1963. It was called Lonely Drifter. That went to number 93. In 1965, they had Lipstick Traces on a Cigarette, which went to number 48. I Cried My Last Tear, which went to 94. In 1966, they had Stand In for Love, which went to 95. In 1967, they had I'll Be Sweeter Tomorrow Than I Was Today, which went to number 66. In 1968, they had Look Over Your Shoulder, which went to 89, and The Choice, which went to 94. In 1969, they had One Night After, which went to 68. 1970, they had Deeper in Love with You, which went to 64. Looky Looky, Look at Me Girl, which went to 98. In 1972, they had Backstabbers, which went that this is when their career really took off. By the way, I'd say 72, and I think this was actually the first top 40 hit. I named several hits which missed the top 40, made the top 100, but their first really big hit was Backstabbers. This came out in 1972. This one went all the way to number 3. And before I continue, I just want to say something kind of interesting about the song Backstabbers. It's almost prophetic in a way. It's kind of weird. Think about it. The OJs, a group called the OJs, had a top 10 hit called Backstabbers back in 1972. And then 23 years later, guess what happened? OJ Simpson stabbed two people in the back and killed them. Pretty weird if you ask me. I mean, I don't think it was prophecy. I think it was just a coincidence, but pretty weird anyway. I just thought I'd mention that. Later in 72, they had 992 arguments, which went to number 57. 1973, they had their only number one hit called Love Train. Later that year, they had Time to Get Down, which went to 33, and Put Your Hands Together, which went to number 10. In 1974, they had the song I'm featuring today, For the Love of Money, which went to number 9. And later that year, they had Sunshine, which went to 48. In 1975, they had Give the People What They Want, which went to number 45. Let Me Make Love to You, which went to number 75. And I Love Music, which went to number 5. In 1976, they had Livin' for the Weekend, which went to number 20. Message in Our Music, which went to 49. And Darlin', Darlin' Baby, Sweet Tender Love, which went to 72. In 1977, they had Let's Clean Up the Ghetto, which went to number 91. In 1978, they had Used to Be My Girl, which went to number 4. And Brandy, which went to 79. I don't think that's the same Brandy that Looking Glass had a few years earlier. Their Brandy song went to number one, by the way, but I'm pretty sure this was a different song. 1979, they had Forever Mine, which went to number 28. 1980, they had Girl Don't Let It Get You Down, which went to number 55. Um, 19, yeah, and then they had a couple of songs in the 90s. 1996, they had a song called Stairway to Heaven, not the same Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. That one's coming up much, much higher on my list, by the way. I don't think it's even the same Stairway to Heaven that Neil Sedaka had in 1960. That one didn't make my list, by the way, although it's a really good song. I'm not sure. I don't think I've heard the Stairway to Heaven that the OJ's had. They performed that along with a group called Pure Soul, by the way, and that went only number 79. And then finally, 1997, they had Who's Stopping You, which went to 73, and Baby You Know, which went to 76. So a lot of hits for the OJs, and they were a very good group. And I've got several other songs by them coming up later on my list. So that completes my profile of "For the Love of Money" by the OJs. Thank you for watching. You guys rock, and I'll see you next time. Bye.